I'm Tommy, assistant professor from the Department of Sociology at the University of Hong Kong. A little bit about my background. I did my first degree unexpectedly in the totally different areas of study in comparative literature and fine arts. And then I worked, after doing my master degree, I worked in the industry a little bit. I work in media, advertising, also working for various fashion and luxury brands as a copywriter before I went back to the university to do my PhD study. So I've been a teacher for about 10 years. All the research that I've been doing, I would say, would be interdisciplinary in nature because of my, sort of interdisciplinary background. So I research on the creative industry, I research on media, advertising, obviously that's related to my work experience. I enjoy working in the industry, but I also realized that a lot of issues and problems among the workers within this industry. So later on, when I actually become a researcher, I would like to spend more time investigating some of the pressing issues, some of the really important issues that people who are so busy in the industry wouldn't bother or wouldn't have time to investigate. That also is the reason why I'm doing this course on cyber society, because many of these topics, from advertising, media, fashion industry, creative industry in general, creative workers, especially in our generation, in this era, they are in many ways affected by the rise of digital technology and the globalization process. So I think even if it's not exactly the core of my research area, this would be a very good critical approach or angle to approach to investigate some of the issues that I'm interested in. So that's why all these issues are also related to the content of the course that I've been teaching, and also, apart from providing these theoretical ideas to my students, apart from investigating how could they make use of the knowledge, of course many of them actually much better than I do, in using all this digital technology, social media platforms and all these digital gadgets. But apart from the technical skills, practical usage, I want them to actually think through these ubiquity of digital technology in our everyday life and see what they can actually do to improve the situation right now, all these problems created by the rise of technology. I'm teaching this course called Cyber Society, Understanding Technology as Global Change in the University of Hong Kong for 4 years. And this course has always been interested in not just teaching disciplinary knowledge, but also trying to make use of an interdisciplinary approach to engage in some very important global issues. For example, the rise of information and communications technology, the rise of power among the younger generations in using this technology, and also, the various impacts of this technological development to the society as a whole. So this course, instead of just teaching students from my department, or even in the Faculty of Social Science, we are having a lot of students from all walks of life, from all different disciplinary subjects to join us, to have a collaboration and to have a conversation with all these interesting issues. What's interesting about this year's collaboration is that, I have known Pedro from Young Entrepreneurs Task Force for a couple of years, and he has always been doing this fascinating project, interesting projects. And one time he told me that, if we can engage with your students and also create some interesting content for the platform, as well as engaging them to think about all these important issues happening around the world, that would be good. So I thought, it has always been a challenge for me as well as a teacher, I would say, because, of course, supposedly I'm interested in this subject area, the new media and digital culture, and I am also delivering theoretical knowledge about these subjects to the students. But at the end of the day, whether the students can actually make use of this knowledge they acquire from the university after graduation in the workplace, or making a contribution to the society, that's a question mark. So that's why I always think that if there are opportunities for us to get connected with the community, to get connected with the industry, and actually collaborate together to create some new ideas for, whether or not that could be immediately executed and contributing to society right now, I think it doesn't matter, but at least they have a chance to step a little bit further to think about those issues. So that's the perfect opportunity for us to collaborate with Young Entrepreneurs Task Force last year. I have been intrigued by these new ideas initiated by the United Nations called Sustainable Development Goals. I have heard about that, but frankly speaking, I haven't actually study the concepts, the ideas, the origin, and the very objectives and goals of these SDGs very much. Only until I talked to Pedro, talked to YET's team, and knowing more about that, I realized that, well, maybe that's a good direction for my students to make use of the integrated theoretic ideas they've learned from the university, to push themselves a little bit further and get to know what these knowledge and ideas can be possibly used in the society as a whole. So that's the occasion. So I try to make use of these SDG goals, incorporating them into one specific student project that we have been doing for years. I would say in the past, students have been creating a lot of interesting videos, incorporating the theoretic ideas in the videos. I enjoy that very much, but sometimes, frankly speaking, they couldn't really push these ideas further and thinking about how could they actually make use of these ideas in the society, in the reality. So I think this very opportunity actually pushed them a little bit further, and then they could actually make use of these ideas to fixate on a particular goal. For example, they have always been working on one specific topic called digital divide. Digital divide meaning that, well, even though nowadays it seems that everybody has their mobile phone, everybody has connected to the internet and can make use of all this knowledge, ideas available on the internet. But then there are also people around the world, because of their socioeconomic status, because of their geographical location, because of whatever limitations, it's just not equal for everybody to get access to the internet. So that's why they have been doing projects and researching on what are the issues creating that kind of digital divide. Domestically speaking, nationally speaking, what kind of divides are happening out there, exist out there. But then that's the end of the story. Sometimes they very well elaborate the theoretical ideas about digital divide, but then when you ask them how could you actually bridge the gap, what exactly is that digital divide, for example, in Hong Kong context, in the African context, they may know a little bit about that, but they don't know what to do with that. They are not even thinking about what the society as a whole can collaborate together to do something to improve that, and who will be benefit from doing so. So having these very specific goals, once again, SDGs, well, they try to think beyond this theoretical conception and understanding about information communications technology and its global influences, and fixing on a very particular goal. For example, some students trying to think about how could they resolve a particular digital divide problem in mainland China. Another group are trying to think about, well, while everybody has been talking about sustainability, environmental issues, but how could you specifically execute some of these solutions in the Hong Kong context? They also make use of very creative ideas. They also make use of their respective disciplinary knowledge. Some of them are from medicine, some of them are from computer science, some of them are actually from philosophy, from sociology, from psychology. When they actually discuss and work together, they come up with some unprecedented ideas to resolve some of these problems. I think that's another thing is very interesting about this course and about this interdisciplinary collaboration and about the integration of theoretical ideas with reality, social issues, is that I think as an educator, of course, in the business world, well, you have to be quick, you have to be, well, sorting out immediate solutions, very practical solutions, ideally speaking. But in school, well, when you will have a chance to take a look at some of these videos my students have created, they are fascinating, they're very creative, but at times they might not be the most sophisticated ideas for resolving some of these, well, big problems, global issues in the society. But For me as an educator, I think that's not really a problem because it's a starting point. They just kick off their energy or direction or specific engine in developing this kind of creative thinking. And they are even though they're at the preliminary stage, they just start thinking about these issues. That's nothing bad, because I think for them, if they could have these initial ideas incepted in their mind, knowing about what they have learned could actually make a big impact or a big influence in the society in the long run. I think that's a good seed to be planted in the mind. I think that's what I, as an educator, really would like to do. Not just educating them theoretical ideas once again, but also trying to remind them how they could actually make use of these ideas in the society as a whole, as the future of our generation, the younger generation, the future of the society. This course, Cyber Society, as I said, is an interdisciplinary course offered by the Department of Sociology. It talks about not just the sociological theories, but we make use of ideas from business, philosophy, criminology, anthropology, or even from other specific academic disciplines to try to understand the evolution of information communications technology in the society, its impact to us as human beings, and its impact to the society, our culture, politics, or even the economy as a whole. I think these ideas have been quite elaborately presented in the class over the past few years, in my experience. I think students have learned a lot, whether they are from that specific discipline or they actually, before attending the class, they have no prior understanding of whatsoever being discussed in class. I think we have been doing a fairly okay job in delivering these concepts and ideas to the students. I think they enjoy doing that. But there's one important thing that I believe I haven't done it quite well over the past few years. And only until this year, we have this collaboration with YET. I think, well, we have pushed it a little bit further once again. And that is how to integrate this interdisciplinary theoretical ideas into practice, into what can actually be done in the society to change things. I think that change, even if at the end of the day the students have come up with these ideas, they're not actually the one to execute that, but having that idea in the mind, thinking about what they can possibly do in the future, is the most valuable part of this collaboration. And I hope that very spirit, that very essence could actually be perpetuated in this course in the long run.
My name is Florin Serban, and earlier in 2018 I worked as a teaching assistant for the Cyber Societies class at HKU, and throughout this class I was able to work with more than 120 students on different projects, all of them with their videos concentrating on discussing and also offering a solution for the SDGs, for the development goals. Now, it was a great process, I would say. In the beginning, obviously, when you tell students that you will not have a writing project at the end of the class, you will have to do a video. And they get a bit happy. They're like, oh, that will be interesting. But then one class later, they ask you, what kind of videos should we do? Should we go for the very professional ones? Should we buy equipment? Should we buy cameras and so on? And you're like, no, just be natural. Now, I think what is very interesting with this video is that no one came and said, I'm not able to film and I'm not able to edit. So for them, everything seemed to be very natural. And I think that's one of the reasons why we need to focus a lot on technology and how technology is changing our social interactions and how technology is changing not only the way we work, but also the way we understand to do our job. Now, when it came to the SDG goals, some of the students were a bit puzzled. Okay, we need to use one of the goals in our projects, and what are we doing, for example, with life below water? We can't use that. So at one point I felt that the students were going towards goals such as no poverty or no gender equality, for example, and that was good. But what I tried to do from the very beginning was to push them and to try to make them see the world in a bigger scale. I guess that's what made them in the end to create quite diversified projects. When you look at the final projects, you will notice that the students didn't focus on 1 or 2 SDGs. There were at least 8 SDGs tackled in their projects. Some of them were obviously better than others. Some of them offered better solutions. Some of them offered more future realities in terms of understanding how these SDGs will influence their lives. Yeah, so I guess one of the goals for these projects was not only to offer them a chance to gain credits for taking this class, but also trying to make them see how, by dealing with SDGs, they can improve their lives, but also try to improve the lives of those around them. Whether they are in Hong Kong or whether they are in Europe or Africa, it didn't matter. Yeah, it was a class that also tackled globalization. And I feel that the videos, at least the settings for some of them, are extremely universal. They didn't just stay in Kowloon or Hong Kong Island. They went beyond Hong Kong. And I think that's one of the achievements for these projects in this class. Now, I feel that it's also important to take a look at some of their work, and one of the projects that got a lot of praise from the instructors in this class was a project called Days of Future Past.
So the reason we joined the course is because mainly there's no exam, and the second point is it is about video production, and this is what we do best, me and Desmond. And we usually choose courses based on whether there's exams, and if there's video production, we go for it. We really like doing video projects because it can reach people. We reach people through YouTube. This is how the project ends. We create the video, we post it online, and then people watch it, and it changes their life. And we really think that nowadays this is the best way to reach people instead of going on television or newspaper or other forms of media. This is the best way, posting a video on social media, and then they can sort of read it. So at first Florian told us there's the thing about connectyet, and then there's a lot of SDGs, and which at the point I haven't heard about it yet, and then we read it on the UN website and then see, oh, we got a lot of options. It's like, I forgot, 17, 18. And then we then start scraping through the internet for ideas, and then we just get lost. And then we started go on Netflix and then watching a bunch of original series, and those stuff gives us ideas. And then I was on this series Traveler, and then it gives us the idea about time travel, and then we sort of want to try to put this with the SDGs about how we don't, if we ignore the SDGs, how the world will become in the future. And then with this kind of framework, we pick out 4 to 5 SDGs and then elaborate on each one of them. And we also incorporated some of the ideas from Tesla, and because we talk about the solar panel and then big power grid thing, so we kind of get the idea here and there and then compile it together into one movie.
Yeah, so why I joined the course, Cyber Society, Understanding Technology as a Global Change, is the first reason is that I found it quite appealing to me when I've found this course, is that it relates what I'm studying to the issue of global change, and yeah, that's why I want to study it. And the second reason is that I learned that there's a video project in this course, and yeah, personally I like video editing. I like how the video can influence people, how we edit the clips and it magically become a very impressive and appealing movie to change how people think. Like in this course, we have after we learned about those SDGs, we can incorporate them into the video, and we can really make a difference. Well, at first we are just laying out all the ideas we have, like all those Netflix series, and how we like those Netflix series and how we try to do something similar. And yeah, we have all those Google documents, 20 pages of Google document of criticisms of what we have done. And yeah, at last we are very happy with our results. The video looks great and everyone likes it. So what's the beauty of this course is that it brings people from different programs together. Like me and Felix, we're studying computer engineering. We have Andrew studying computer science. We have Winky studying education. And we also have Alvin from law. We have Serene, we have Bill, and also Martina. We all come from different programs. And we work together to produce a great video to spread some good messages. And yeah, that's how things work and how we should work. From all walks of life, people, they come together and then they work out a solution to help people to change the society and help the mankind.
So this course kind of trained how I think about problems and how I think about making solutions on those problems. Actually, Desmond and I, whatever, we joined an app competition which is held by the China and Apple co-organized, and we think about some ideas and then we use this kind of SDGs kind of mindset to think about the ideas, and we come up with an app that will help the visually impaired people to navigate in the world and assist them in daily life. So this is how the course kind of changed our mindset on thinking about ideas. Because at first we are all business oriented and then thinking about how to make big monies, but of course that's hard too. But now that we have finished the course, we think about stuff more than money. We think about people, how technology can help people and how it will kind of change people's life. Yeah.
Before this course, I don't even know what SDG is. But after this course, after having using it for quite some time, it really gets into my life and how I think. Like for example, I'm currently working on a app competition with Felix, and at first we have some idea of solving some of the society's problem, but turns out we try to the SDGs affect us and affects how we think, and we turns out with a solution that helps the disabled person, like the visually impaired.
Another very important project, in my opinion, was the one titled Oasis. Basically, it offers an alternative for people who are unable to have a social life because due to their health issues, they are pretty much immobilized in a bed. So basically, the SDG they tackled was good health and well-being. And the title of their video is Oasis, and it shows how, with the help of virtual reality, basically technology, people can enjoy their lives without having to be physically out there. It is, if you want it, a bit controversial. At the same time, I feel that we should have a debate on this issue. From the very beginning of the class, it was quite obvious that the students have the creativity, the students have the ideas and the drive to produce high quality videos. One of the main challenges we faced back then was the fact that they didn't offer solutions. They were stating the problem quite obviously, what do we do with these people? What do we do with these inequalities? But where we struggle most, I would say, was, okay, what are the next steps? What will be the solutions? And of course, in the beginning, once you come up with a creative project and you have an instructor telling you, no, that's good, but you should do more, maybe you get a bit deflated. You're like, okay, what does this guy want from me, right? But I really appreciated the fact that they were able to get back together in groups of 4 or 5 or 6, and they slowly came up with solutions. And I guess that's where the most enjoying part of our collaboration came through. When students had 90% of the video and I was able to push them or to guide them in a certain direction, but at the end of the day, obviously they did all the work from filming and doing the video and doing the editing for the video and so on. Now, what was important for me was not only that the quality of their video is good, obviously, but also the concept behind them, what we studied together in class, what we have discussed in our tutorial sessions, they will come out of the video. They will not be buried somewhere, and they didn't expect their audience to just the audience knows about digital divide, or the audience knows about social inequality. No. The best projects, the projects that got the highest grades, and the projects that were sound at the end of the day were those that were able to show, not tell, the ones that were able to highlight and to illustrate the problems that we have, and then to offer a solution. I spent the past 5 years of my life here in Hong Kong. It all started without a clear purpose. I have a BA in journalism. A few years ago, I was doing my master's in Utrecht in the Netherlands in media and performance studies. And in the third semester, we were supposed to go somewhere, and from all the places, I decided to come to Hong Kong. And you know the cliche, it was love at first sight, right? So I was here for 9 months, and then I went back to Europe, and everything felt boring, and I came back again. And this time I was able to do a PhD in communication studies at Hong Kong Baptist University. Now, the focus of my research and my main interests are in technology and communication, and also globalization. Why? Because personally, I do have a global background, and I feel that the world today brings together a lot of people with different paths, right? So my research is on technology. My research is also on globalization and the media and journalism. So when the possibility to work at Hong Kong University with Dr. Tse came through, I was really happy. Why? Because this class tackles both globalization and technology, right? Especially digital technology, and these are my main interests.